Hello, lovely learning designers. Anna Sabramowicz here. Thank you for jumping on this episode. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be going through an awesome interactive story. It's called Whose Wedding Is It Anyway? And it's actually done by one of my students, Don Ricard. So we're going to get right into it today. Remember, when I'm doing walkthroughs for these interactive stories, I'm focusing on things like storytelling, on the mechanics, how they made it work underneath the hood, and also what's the real goal of this thing? How is it helping people achieve behavior change? So let's get right into it. Are you excited? This is going to be fun. All right. So first off, it's called recovering-catholic.com. That's the site. This interactive story is publicly available, so you can play through it as well. Today, I will go through one of the endings because this interactive story has more than one ending, and you can play with it and get your own ideas from it. Now, one of the things I want to say, this interactive story is actually, Don built it so that it would be basically a conversation starter, kind of like Haji Kamal. You know how Haji Kamal introduces you to an idea, a conversation, a concept that you might not be ready for, and then what happens is it draws you in, makes you kind of reflect on your own behavior a little bit, and basically makes you say, hey, is this something that maybe I'm doing in the wrong way, or maybe I need a little bit of help with that? So even though this interactive story is focused around somebody making a decision around wedding, what it does, and I just recently talked to Don, he said what it does is it opens up a whole lot of conversations around communication with family, and it's one of those things that basically he helps people with. He coaches them on how to actually have better relationships and communicate better about difficult things with family. But this is just one instance where he's able to bring people in who are not necessarily ready for it and open up some doors. Because think about this. People who are excited about or not excited about or think they're already good at communicating, if this said, communicating with your family about difficult topics 101, you'd be like, ugh, right? Now we have this sexy, juicy title, Whose Wedding Is It Anyway? An interactive story, help. Mom and dad want me to have a Catholic wedding. Okay, that's kind of intriguing. All right. So there's a start button here, about, which we'll click later. It actually tells you a little bit about Don. And then this is the other thing that is awesome. It tells you how long it's going to take, so it's respectful of the end user. Plus, it's got this beautiful visuals creating some controversy. What's happening? Why are these people sad? Oh, just, there's a feeling here that something's going on. Excellent. Piquing that curiosity and crafting things that aren't so giveaway lets people who are resistant to this actually get excited about it because they're curious to see what happens next. Fun. Let's do this. Okay. The story is tailored to the choices you make. I love that. Cool. I was shocked when my parents told me, Bailey, it's for your own... What? You can't be serious? We are serious. Don't expect a single cent from this family unless you go to a Catholic college. Okay, I'm loving this. Juicy visuals. Obviously, Don worked with an illustrator. This is amazing. This is so unique. Also, one of the parts of basically walking through this, notice this. There's a button down here that's prompting me to move forward, which is great because it's like, hey, don't stop here. We got to keep going. We got to keep that momentum. But the entire screen is clickable, which means it's got really good user interface because that's how apps work these days. You don't go to the specific area there and wait for it to turn into a clickable object. The entire thing is clickable, which is beautiful. All right, let's continue with this fabulous story. I felt a dark cloud looming over my head as I accepted my high school diploma. The thought of my parents cutting me off unless I go to a Catholic college weighed heavily on my mind. After 12 years of Catholic school, which college was supposed to be my first major life choice? Or so I thought. What do I want? More control of my life? Not having religion forced on me? Parents who give advice rather than ultimatums? So, what we're doing here with storytelling, of course, we got to set up a protagonist that people care about. I don't have to be like Bailey. I don't have to have the same conundrums, but there are elements here that Dawn's working on and to emulate that make her a relatable person. She's got a family, there's some disagreements, she wants to be her own person, so there's this entire struggle there. When we're crafting interactive stories, any story, period, you want to create a character that people will care about and empathize with, because then what happens is the rest of the story is about us making sure that we basically are making decisions that impact that character. If we don't care about them, the decisions won't be as difficult. But if we care about what happens to Bailey, these decisions will take on a different meaning. It won't just be a multiple choice question. It'll be a decision for somebody's life because we want to help her do better. All right, so what is Bailey's best option? So this nice juicy decision screen, boom, right there. What do? Challenge parents' belief or find another way to pay for college. Now, also notice how tight this language is here. This is just basically the synthesis of what this choice is about. And then let's see it play out. Okay, so challenge parents' belief. I'll do this one. Well, mom and dad were not as understanding as I imagined. Talking to them was emotionally exhausting. They love me, but challenging their beliefs has made our relationship awkward. I'd rather not be more of a problem in the family than I already am. I'll tough it out. I want to go to college, even if it is Catholic. Not a good feeling. Mom and dad get their way again, but someday. Ooh, foreshadowing there. Now, this is interesting because you see one of the things that we want to do in our stories and in the way that we're crafting these experiences is we want to give our user agency. We want them to make decisions as soon as possible so they don't feel it's like they're just walking through some novel, that their actual decisions impact the story. And that's what we're trying to do here with this first decision. Now, let's see. We got but someday. That's kind of ominous, right? Okay. 7 years later. It's been a bumpy ride, but I'm actually starting to feel like an adult, which is kind of weird. Ben, we should have our wedding here. We shared our first kiss here. You finally proposed here. What could be better? I was soon to discover that the more things change, the more they stay the same. Now, I think it's a great idea. You know I love the outdoors, but what about your parents? Oh, a wedding means a church for them, not a forest. Ever since I started thinking for myself, they've ignored my questions about Catholicism. Some things we have to take on faith is their code for this is not open for discussion. I want them there, but not if I lose all the ground I've gained in the last 7 years. And that's a cross I can't bear. Maybe we should elope. Ooh. So what we're doing here is we're setting up kind of like the incident that basically pushes the character to take action. 7 years have passed. I'm assuming she's kind of been, away, and things haven't been, she hasn't had to directly, challenge them and challenge what she believes in. And so basically in storytelling, we call this the inciting incident. What happens when somebody says enough is enough, or they've reached a point where they actually have to start making decisions. And this can be different for different stories, and it can come about differently. Sometimes it's the character that decides enough is enough, and sometimes the circumstances are simply presented to them that they have no choice. But it is that moment where somebody has to, it's the point of no return. Is either you're going ahead with this and starting to make those decisions, or either way, you're going to have to do something. You might fail, but you might also succeed. But this is that point. Now, the other thing you might notice, lots of fun stuff here. Comic book style, fabulous, right? The other thing, Don, when he joined our masterclass, which is the Interactive Storytelling Accelerator, what he did is he said, I love Broken Coworker. I love that it's like this style, there's conversations, it's conversation driven. And he said, I'm going to model it. So that's exactly what he did, not only visually, but also because we provide everybody with our script for Broken Coworker, he basically modeled the layout and the kind of the flow and the pace. So if you actually look at it and you've seen Broken Coworker before, there will be some overlap. But obviously, Don went full scalable, which is that he went for illustrations. Broken Coworker is not as scalable because obviously there's video in it, and that is not as not as easy to reproduce. But here, you could make this in any style you want. He chose the illustrator that he wanted to work with. Her style worked for him, and now he's made it his own, which is fantastic because that's what I'm hoping you get out of these. You see the patterns underneath, And you can take a pattern like broken coworker, you can take a pattern like connect with Haji Kamal, and to say, this will work for my context, and then you make it your own, because that's all we're doing is we're modeling something that we see working, that we enjoy, and then building on the shoulders of giants, making it our own and making it work for our niche and our audience. So here we go. I figured it would be smart to meet mom and dad on neutral ground. I'm scared and excited to tell your parents. I'm just scared. Only the engagement news for now, okay? What's up? Everything okay, honey? Better than okay. Ben and I are getting married. Oh my God. I'll talk to Father O'Leary. What's also fun, and I want you to notice, and this is the power of that visual communication. You have, the dialogue is so short. Like all you have to do is see, all you have here is, oh my God. And there's so much that the images say. And I like, seriously, look at how fun this is. I'll talk to Father O'Leary. That's so excited. What do you do? Suggest wedding planning at a later date. Be open, indulge dad's request, or get straight to the point. Tell parents about forest. I'm going to tell my parents about the forest right away. This is what I'm going to do. We're having our wedding in our favorite forest. Forests are for picnics. How could you after all we've done for you? That was no surprise. Why do I always take the bait? Let's see where this goes. Okay, so the setup there is we have a situation that plays out. Then we have a choice screen, which forces us to make a decision of how we're going to handle that situation. And this, my friends, is how the consequence plays out. We see what happens as a result of that decision. And then here we get a little bit of reflection from our main character saying, ugh, why do I always take the bait? A little bit of that thinking that we want people to do about how that went. Because, I mean, you could say, somebody be like, oh man, yeah, I was so cruel to my mom. How could I do that? But we're trying to teach them, and Dawn is actually trying to teach them, how to reframe these experiences to be a little bit more in charge of your feelings and a little bit more in charge of the truth that you're sharing. So this is the consequence that plays out, and there's a beautiful repeatable pattern here that you'll see as we go through. All right, about a week later, we had dinner at my parents'. Dinner's done. Now for the real treat, wedding planning. I love Bailey and want our wedding to reflect who we are. Ditto. So when do we call Father O'Leary? They are relentless. Honestly, I haven't gone to Mass since I left home. But what about our times together at Christmas or Easter? Those are the only times, and I only did it for you and Dad. Sounds like this wedding is a perfect time to find your way back to the church. Ugh. What do you do? Assert independence now? Say you're willing to cooperate? Say you want to follow your heart? Maybe I'm going to say I'm willing to cooperate. If Father O'Leary accepts our location, maybe I could go along. So this is our consequence now playing out. And this is what, obviously, the character, remember on our choice screen, we actually have these summarized versions of what she would actually say. And then this is what her dad says. The army chaplain had Mass outside during the war, so maybe not what I imagined, though. Here's some great advice. Pretending to cooperate avoids the issue. I hope Father O'Leary isn't as flexible as an army chaplain. Let's see where this goes. So that's also not a good strategy because it's not actually, I guess, being honest about what I want. Oh boy. Essentially, or eventually, I gave in to my parents' wishes and met with Father O'Leary. Gosh, this is beautiful and juicy. Please take a seat. Ooh, somber. It's been a while, Bailey. Last Christmas? That's right, but who's counting? This is my fiancé, Ben. Pleased to meet you, Father. You called me Father, Ben. Are you Catholic? No, just polite. All right, your parents shared your fun wedding vision. Father, I'm so happy you think it's fun. Don't confuse what I said with approval, young lady. Your vision is for the reception afterward. You want the sacrament in the eyes of God, don't you? Now, you know what's awesome about this? Is that this is based on Don's research experience and just also his own life. And what's wonderful about having your own piece out there is that you can make it whatever you want. And that's what I'm seeing here is, there's some stuff here where people are like, oh, Father O'Leary, they're painting. This is a character, right? That you're painting up, and you're trying to make this emotionally difficult. And that's what you got to do with your interactive experiences, is you're turning the emotion up to 11 because you want people to feel something when they're going through your story. You want them to be nervous, stressed out, anxious, maybe freaked out, and maybe like, I wish this person wouldn't talk to me this way. Whatever, that's great. Emotion is so important, because if people don't feel anything, they won't care. So we want them to care about Bailey. We want them to care about the situation, because this is important stuff. And maybe in the end, as all interactive stories, we're trying to get people to, at the end, think about how maybe they're making some of these assumptions or mistakes in their own life, so that you can actually, they actually do something about it, which is maybe reach out or take a course or click a link to learn more information. It can be as simple as that, but we want to amp that up so we can take action. All right, what do? Go 50-50, negotiate for an exception, speak candidly, share your desires, turn the tables on Father O'Leary. I'm going to do this one. Maybe God's eyes see the forest like we do. After all, who created it? That's pretty smart and snarky. Maybe, but what does the church see? I guessed I egged him on a bit, which wasn't the most productive thing to do. Yeah, that meeting was weird and awkward, but I don't care what he thinks. Mom and Dad really matter to me, though. So there's that reflection piece. I'm loving how quick this is, and how much is left for us to imagine, which is kind of this model where you're left to kind of go between between these pictures is something that your learner will fill in, because we want them to think back to maybe things or discussions they've had where they didn't respond in the right way emotionally, or they weren't being true to their own ideas and thoughts. So this is great. Obviously, the visuals are rocking and fun. And let's see. All right, at this rate, I'll never connect with my parents, and I'm not going to let them run my life. Looks like I just have put distance between us again. Sorry, Everglow Forest. I guess it's Vegas. Oh no! Bailey's planning to head to Sin City and elope. Did you take the bait, or did you draw the battle lines? Regardless, your choices crushed Bailey's hopes for a beautiful outdoor wedding. If you were to turn things around, this can end happily ever after. Now, this is obviously not the best ending, and there's more than one here, but this is what you got to see. You want people to feel like they should go through it again. What is this button? Yeah, I want to turn around and try again. I'm going to do that, which is awesome, right? Okay, and Dawn's put this really cool thing here. Like, listen, if you got to the bad ending, it probably means that you're reactive, or you don't know how to assert yourself without being a jerk, or maybe you never thought about that there's other possibilities. That's awesome. So what he's done here, I guess, is this is kind of a mechanics underneath. You unlock this special resource. Hi, Dawn here, leading coach. So he tells me a bit about himself, and that you can actually get some more free resources that'll help you deal with these situations on your own, which is super fun. And then you can learn more about Dawn here. This is great. I mean, if your piece, your portfolio piece, is talking to people about you, Dawn's obviously using this to start conversations with people who have these kinds of challenges, but your interactive story should also be a piece that shares a bit about you and why you're passionate about this topic, or how to get in touch with you. I mean, this is amazing. This is for you, right? Now, the other piece I want you to think about is these interactive stories, they're part of a bigger kind of campaign and picture for somebody's learning journey. So if somebody's struggling, you can say, hey, you've unlocked the resource, how to deal with bullies, or how to deal with how to create safe spaces for conversations in 5 easy steps. Download the PDF now. At this point, this is so cool. I'm ready for this. I'm ready for it because I've struggled. I've had some struggle and I'm like, I need this now. Now I'm ready. Imagine if you gave it to me at the very beginning. I'd be like, why are you giving me this 5-point, PDF that has all these tips? I don't need them. I'm good. I know what I'm doing. Now, different story. All right, cool. So then what happens is when I try again, beautifully skips me right to the part where I have to basically make my big, powerful decision, which is how to talk to my parents. So I'm not going to go through to the very end because I want you to experience this on your own, because it is up there for anybody to experience and get to make their own decisions to see if they can get to a better ending than I did. But otherwise, so much fun here. And let me just refresh this so we get to the awesome title page. Now, seriously, this is so fun and so beautiful. I love it. Even the visual design becomes a part of the curiosity and novelty because you want to see how things unfold. And I didn't want to give away the beautiful, the other ending for you. So go check it out if you get a chance. But one of the things you want to think about here is every single one of these interactive stories is built with intent, and they're sharing a message, they're sharing some kind of lessons. So it's not just for fun. These things are obviously, whose wedding is it anyway? It's to help people make better decisions and have them walk away with some ahas without really chucking the content onto them. Did you see a goal anywhere? Learning goal? No. It was drag you right into the story. Here's Bailey. Can you help her out? Because she needs help and she doesn't know how to deal with these things on her own. I loved it. There were so many pieces here that, yes, they modeled. I mean, if I didn't tell you that this was linked or modeled after Broken Coworker, you would have never known, because the context in the story draws you in so deeply. You can't even see the big picture because you're in it, and that's what's fantastic. Now, if you geeked out on this and you're like, oh man, I want to do one of these, guess what? This is what's the most exciting thing. I remember years ago, I used to have to work with a team to be able to put anything like this together. Now, you and I have the power, one person, with obviously getting somebody who, like an illustrator, to get you to help to produce something this amazing. But that's really just like a visual design decision, right? Because really, to be able to make an experience like this, it can be one person, which to me is amazing, because the power for you to become basically the creative director, the producer, the editor, the narrator, all of this is in your scope, in your hands. So you can become basically your most creative and help solve any problem you want, because there's no limitation. You've got the software now, and all you need is just a vision. And basically you have to figure out, hey, what are some problems out there that I'd actually like to solve? And Don said, hey, I want to help people communicate better. And boom, he puts together this thing, which is, to me, such a cool concept. If that gets you excited, I'd love for you to jump on and see if you qualify to be a part of our community. So we talk about these kinds of interactive experiences and building them twice a week, every week, forever, okay? And as far as this is concerned, what I love is here I'm sharing with you the stuff that's kind of on the outside, right? Like the shell stuff. Now, when you're in the community, this is the coolest part. You get to see these projects go from brainstorm idea all the way to build and all the pieces in between. The other thing is that as people craft more interactive stories in the community, they learn new lessons. Those are the lessons that all of us get to learn from as well. And you get to pick people's brains. Like, hey, how did you come up with this? What was your biggest struggle? Did you like this illustrator? What were your tips? So a lot of that stuff comes from these creators basically in our community working on these projects together and getting ideas off of each other. So I hope that that's exciting to you. If you enjoyed this video, I better see some fire emojis in the comments. You better share this. And also let me know if you enjoy this by liking it. Subscribe, of course. And there'll be more coming your way soon. I had so much fun walking through this with you, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And I will see you next time, friends. Take care. Bye.